next meeting now. Hello, everyone. Greetings from ISDSI Global 21. Hello, hi Deepa, Nikita, Udit, Preeti and Srinivas. Warm welcome from our side. Sincere apology for the delay. Our last panel just ended, and somehow because of the hybrid, we are now tied up with both physical and virtual locations. So apologies for that. Thank you so much for taking out time and coming to our panel. So many thanks to Deepa for coordinating and organizing this panel on such a short notice. And I'm not going to eat up any of her time. I just want to hand over the dais to her. Just wanted to thank all of you to make this happen. Thank you. Over to you, Deepa.
Gunjan. Hi, everyone. My name is Deepa Krishnan, and I have an MBA from IIM Calcutta, and I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run a travel company and a textiles and crafts company, and I'm also head of a non-profit called Abhyudaya, which works in education. And in addition, I teach at SP Jain Institute of Management and Studies. And I teach mentoring and leadership. So that's just a brief introduction. I will start by introducing our panelists and welcoming them. We have two couples because while our focus is on women entrepreneurs, we really want to look at the dynamics when couples do business together. Then there is, not just the woman, but there is a guy. So today's topic is women entrepreneurs in India, and then couples as co-founders. That is the sub-topic. So we have Nikita Barmecha and Udit Sood. They are founders of EcoRight, and they will tell you a little more about their business later. But both are from IIM Calcutta. Is that where you met?
Yes.
Okay. So both are from IIM Calcutta. Nikita worked with Airtel, and then she has been recognized by Economic Times in that Young Leaders 2018. And Udit has worked with Zomato, Unilever, Tata Group, and now they are together in this business. For how long now?
The business is almost 5 years old. We've been working together for 2.5 now.
Okay. So one started, who started and who joined?
I started.
And
5 years
Nikita.
ago. Yeah.
I joined later.
All right. And then we have Preeti Sukumaran and Srinivas Krishnaswamy. They are founders of Kriya. So they're also from IIM, but Preeti is from IIM Calcutta and Srinivasan from IIM Bangalore. And they have a background in, but Preeti has a background in FMCG, and I think the two of them met in J&J. Am I correct?
That's right. The campus.
See, I read that between the lines after reading your profiles. So yeah, so campus placement for Srinivas was with J&J, and after that, after I think 8 years there, this is the business that they are both in. And Preeti has been in Henkel, Marico, as well as Preeti. I read that you were also a radio disc jockey for some time.
That was pre-IIM, right? So that 1 year when you figure out what you want to do between college and getting into CAT. So that is how I used to spend my time.
I also found out that two of you have got black belt in mixed martial arts.
That's true.
So we have like two amazing couples here, and what I'm going to do is ask them to introduce their businesses. Both are in what can only be called purpose-driven businesses. So Nikita and Udit, over to you. Tell us about EcoRite.
Okay. So while he started the business, I'll just give you a brief introduction of what EcoRite started with and how we've evolved over time. So back in 2017, I think we
just give me a second. May I request the host to do a spotlight on the three of us so that we can see people's faces more clearly? Thanks. Nikita, go on.
Yeah. So EcoRite was started with the idea of spreading awareness and providing alternatives to plastic pollution. It was a very simple idea back in 2017 when plastic use was rampant. And people, especially here in our country, were not aware of the harmful effects of plastic and did not have alternatives. So we started, or rather Udit started the business with a very simple idea of providing people with nice alternatives to the daily plastic bags that every household or every person was carrying.
Yeah.
And the idea was this idea of providing plastic bags combined with the idea of also spreading awareness, so and make the bags look nice. So people would not carry cotton bags because they didn't look nice, they look flimsy. They are still in some parts still referred to as thelas or jholas. So the idea was to be able to get the whole get everybody using, get people understand how plastic is bad and, make them see the nice, beautiful alternatives that are available. So we started with very simple, quirky designs that said, say, bag it or what's for dinner, and, a cow would answer 10,000 types of plastic. Very simple designs that were educational, funny, punny at the same time, and yet, provided an alternative. Obviously, the world has evolved since then. Everybody's evolved. Everybody after that, 2018, the ban started on plastic, and it's been great how governments across the world have come up together to ban plastics, and single-use plastic has been completely banned. So a lot of our work was made much easier. People are already aware that plastic is bad. So we've also evolved, and obviously, but the way we've evolved, the way consumption has been increasing, the way, we talk about carbon footprint. So we realized that our purpose, with time had to be larger. And we also evolved to make our business sustainable, not just be a provider for alternative to plastic, but create a business that is end-to-end sustainable and its process is ethical at its core, and still provide sustainable alternatives to products for which there is still awareness required, and sustainable alternatives don't exist. So now we've evolved into a sustainable lifestyle brand that provides alternatives to fast fashion. So our products are ethically made, complete, the process is end-to-end sustainable, and the products look good and do not burn a hole in your pocket.
But it's still bags, or you have more products?
We've started, there's still bags. So we're still in the bags. It's such a big category in itself. So we
Yes.
got that, it's easier to first, take up one category as a whole, build a niche, because our understanding of the product itself, to be able to build it sustainably also has, we've learned a lot, and we want to use that learning to be able to effectively, use that knowledge now across the whole category. So it's
and you've cracked the secret mantra of utilizing Amazon.
yes, because see, our idea of, while a lot of people say, Amazon is something that is, opposite of sustainability, we thought, why not use it to the advantage of actually spreading the awareness and sustainability? Because see, there are a lot of businesses that make a niche and, they want to sell in small batches, but we think, because our process, so our processes are built in a way that there is minimal carbon footprint. And that is because we've been able to build sustainability at scale. If you make a small batch of products, the carbon footprint is actually higher. You might say that it's sustainably made, there is no wastage, but the wastage is a lot more because there's so many fixed costs around a business.
Yeah.
The prices are higher, so not many people are able to afford it. The fixed cost also create a lot of more carbon footprint. So our idea is to build sustainability at scale, and what better than Amazon?
I can see Preeti and Srinivas nodding about the costs of small scale. Sorry, Udit.
No, so what I was saying is that reasons that when I started in 2017, I said, let's do Amazon. We're saying that, okay, there is this great idea that if you give good looking, affordable, high utility bags to people, they'll use it. But how do you get to those people in a way that you can understand feedback quick, whether we can figure out whether or not this business makes sense. And that's why I started on Amazon. In fact, we launched on Amazon in the US one day before we launched on Amazon India. And our first sale was actually in San Francisco. So, and then because of that, we were able to get very quick consumer feedback saying that, okay, the reviews started coming in, this is good, this is not good. We've been able to use Amazon very effectively in our entire process of product development as well, because we get to know very quickly what is getting returned, what are people liking, and we're I think fortunate that we have very good reviews across the board. But wherever we don't, we have a very quick cycle of fixing that.
We'll come back and pick your brains on that after this panel. Preeti also will come with me, I think, for that advice session.
I beat you to it. 1 year back, I beat you to it with, having a whole one-on-one.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, over to Preeti and Srinivas. So tell us about, I know you have some wonderful concepts that you've based your business on. So tell us more about the motivation and actually what does Kriya do and why?
Right. So, okay. I was looking at Srini because, in all his interviews until he went to J&J, he said, it is my great dream to become an entrepreneur. And I have no such dream, right? So I was looking at him. So why did you start the story of what we started?
Actually, the way it happened was I have no clue what to do, except that I wanted to be on my own. And that's been, and every interview that I attended in IIT or IIM, I always said that, but they still gave me a job. I don't know why they gave me a job. But they said that, what do you want? I want to be an entrepreneur, but they still gave me a job, as in where do you see yourself? And I like having this creative freedom and building on what is my vision. And I suppose, want to be on my own. That's a very strong motivation. But I had no clue as to what to do. And we are not traditionally from a business background. All people typically in job, and that's our background. We're not entrepreneurial background as well in our families. But it came to a point where the creative urge to do something, was very, very strong. And one day I said that, what do I need? Two things I need to get on this, which is I need to have the time to do it, and I need a co-founder, right? So what I did was the only thing that I've done in my entrepreneurial journey, which I can, count as a success, is convincing Preeti to quit her job. I feel that for a long time I tried to do a side hustle or something like that, but that doesn't work for me. I need to really do something with my whole heart, right? And that's what I tried. Is there something that I could do on the side? Because I also felt that's not fair to my job, right? That I want to give my whole so I said either quit it, and then do something. But then what do I do on my own, right? And so I told Preeti, let's just quit. And
so
from there,
we quit. Okay, on the same day in 2009, it was an extremely romantic gesture, but we had no idea what to do on February 1st, right? So we spent actually a year doing nothing. we didn't have a business plan. We didn't know what to do, but we knew we wanted to do something on our own. At least Srini did. I was freaking out most of the time, saying, what do I do the next day? But we actually went through a lot of things. So we had this career till then. It was sort of a mid-level career, and we said, look, if we quit, and it has to be for something that really moves us, right? So we spent time thinking about, okay, what is that really moves us, right? What are our interests? And we finally sort of zeroed in on Kriya. Before we actually quit, we were on this whole journey of leading a cleaner life. So that's where everything started, right? So the first thing we did was to start eating organic food. So in 2004 or 5, I remember, it was not sold anywhere. So we used to live in Bombay, and I used to go to this little mall called Crystal Mall, okay, which had a broken escalator. So halfway through the 3rd flight, you'll have to walk up, and then suddenly they'll turn the escalator on. So, and the 5th floor, they would have one brand called Conscious Foods, which would have dal and stuff like that. And every time we would go to like full of poochies, right? Full of lentils, all the stuff. Right? I mean, in 2005 in organic food, I mean, if you got poochies, if you got lentils, then it's organic, right? So it actually started there. We actually started on a whole personal journey of leading a more cleaner life, right? So it started with food, then it came to personal care. Then, so that was sort of an ongoing thing. So finally,
so Kriya is now personal care products, which are based home and personal, which is based on what?
Ayurveda and whole. Right. So yeah. So
and your market is India primarily.
Primarily India or Indians living abroad. Okay. We do have non-Indian customers too, because there is a lot of interest in Ayurveda and hair care in certain communities abroad. So that is slowly trickling in, but that's not something we consciously focus on. I think we spread the message of Ayurvedic hair care or personal care and things like that, and then those who are attracted by it sort of come and find us. So that's it.
I think what I got from both your introductions is that you have some alignment in, as couples, you are aligned on the purpose of your business. And that's really what I'm taking away from this introduction, that it's important to have the same purpose. Okay. But I have a follow-on question, which is your attitude. See, entrepreneurship is all about risk, right? So in this, it's risk-taking at its core, So how do you align your risk appetites? So I'll ask Nikita and Udit first. So how do you balance that risk? And you've all, you put your entire family income, like it's all eggs in one basket. So unless you haven't, so tell us about risk and income and how you're working around that. Nikita?
I'll up the second part first. About eggs in one basket. So that is the reason actually, Udit started in for 2 and I joined 2.5 years later. He wanted to do like Srini wanted to do something on his own.
I was just saying, I had exactly the same thought. I am quitting. Now I'll figure out what I want to do in life.
I'm still figuring out. So, yeah.
But yeah, so he quit and I was I was at a good stage in my corporate career. So I decided to continue. And that actually helped. So, then as soon as he quit and he decided something on his own, tightened the financial belts, made a savings target, hit that savings target, after which, hitting a savings target, we decided that, and obviously the business looked scalable and feasible by then. The idea looked like the proof of concept had worked, and we knew that it was a scalable business. And we had savings enough to, help us survive through, for whatever amount of time it takes, that we would be comfortable. Is when I decided to plunge in the business as well. So it was a very measured decision, not eggs in one basket.
No, in other words, your risk appetite is lower than his.
Yeah, mine is way lower than his. I am a very measured person and very frugal and very measured.
So that must be surfacing in other decisions as well, right?
That he loves.
There is a difference.
Yeah, I think what has happened with my risk-taking appetite and her frugality is that we kind of found like a midway throughout this, right? Like I'll come in and rush with 5 ideas, And then she'll quietly, figure out, okay, dekho, ye fourth, these are not going to work for these reasons, too big a risk, but let's do this one. And that's kind of like got the midway. And we've been able to grow a lot since Nikita has come because of that, because we've, ended up reducing a lot of wasteful spends, let's say, that we were doing, focus a little better on places that we can grow better.
So how this translates is he launches scale.
Yeah.
ये man proposes, God disposes वाला चक्कर है.
हाँ वही है. And God propose करता है. God also disposes now.
Okay, so it is such an interesting answer that I want to ask Preeti, and the same question, that how are you, like, who's proposing, who's disposing, how does this work in your case?
Actually, we have different risk appetites in different things. So I would say that there are some things where Srini is very cautious, where I'm extremely expansive, and vice versa in different places. For example,
let me put something that I, always keep, and that's, it's been such a long time since we quit that, this risk question is, we've lived with risk for 12 years, right? It no longer seems like a risk anymore. Because
it's life. Now it's life.
Now it's just life, right? But I do remember telling her that, look, we had about 8 years experience then, right? And I'm Bangalore and I'm Calcutta, and said, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, if after 3 years nothing happens, surely I can call my boss and, ask him to job back. Or something. That's how it starts, right? I'm just saying, let's really put this IIM degree to the test, right? So I think that was there, but I would say that I was very opposite of what Nikita said. Is all the things that he said about measured, I didn't do at all, and measure a thing, right? And I blew all our savings on a very long trip to Europe. And I'll say one thing, right? If you earn in Indian rupees and spend in euros, money runs out really fast, right?
Yes.
And so that's one lesson I learned from here.
In the 1 year,
Preeti, you are not controlling this at all.
No, see, my plan of taking a break was, I said, let's go for 2 months to Uttaranchal in a cottage. Okay. And I found a cottage, right? And I said, let's just eat aloo parathas and be very happy in the hills, right? She said, no, let's go to Paris. Okay. So I was like, okay, So I was I often find myself enabling Srini's dreams, right? So he will have this big dream and say, okay, let's execute it, right? Because I find his dreams irresistible. And then we detail them out together. And of course, I have dreams of my own, right? So, but in the end, it kind of all worked out, right? So there are different approaches to entrepreneurship. I think what they
let
had,
me ask that. Sorry,
right?
Go on.
No. I think what they had is what all the kids listening should
yeah,
take
just
away.
don't do
what we did. Okay, listen to them. They make sense. Don't do what we did. Okay, so.
No, I think it's very also I'd say one more interesting thing that now that she mentioned this is that I constantly keep saying I want to change the world, but it's very important to have a good co-founder, because you want to change the world, but I don't know how to do it or what to do. Okay, right? I'm saying you can go and change everything, but a lot of times, like Preeti said, is that I do something crazy, but then she says, look, it can be done in this way, flesh out ideas, and then it sort of marries in with her vision of changing the world. So sometimes people, I would say for Preeti, it's like waking up a sleeping giant, because she actually wanted to change the world in a very specific way, but she didn't know that she could do it. She was very busy on the track to becoming head of marketing, MD on one track, and the track was going well. I said, no, let's kind of come here, right? So that's, I think, the great thing of being in entrepreneurship as a couple, because you can, you can't have with a colleague, right, who you start a company with, or a classmate. This is a couple kind of thing that, works when you're married.
Basically, you can work on that person.
You can. And the person automatically also becomes sort of an executive coach or a mentor. Willy-nilly, it's become that, right? That's what it's become. I realize over a period of time, I have the best executive coach in the world. She's right here, and
No, it's the same. It's the same for me, right? In the sense that you have no trust issues here, it's a long term. No one, they're not trying to change you just for the job, right? Whatever. Just to get something out of it, right? Because we are also married to each other, right? So whatever change we're looking at, and I think it's true, some of the traits that you display as a person is what you display as a professional, right? So there are no two sides to you, right? So that coaching ends up sort of really improving you as a person, which is the point of anything great, of being a good coach. Right? So
yeah. Only you have to have the maturity to not let it descend into a marital fight. So that it is very difficult. It's very difficult to keep it like that.
And as you mentioned, because this thing is not just a job, right? It's just a job. You can leave it behind. It's not. It's something that really drives, I think, all four of us, right? So the arguments can become very intensive, right? And unfortunately, the problem of being married to your co-founder is it could easily descend to, and then your mother said, you do not want to do, believe me, right? So,
yeah. So I have two questions, and I'll ask both of you both the questions. The first one is actually again a follow through, which is that this whole approach to risk and having different, say, profiles for risk tolerance, how has it impacted your plans for the future for scaling? You guys are not startups. You're all already been a few years in the business. Now you obviously are thinking about scaling, growth, and all of that. So how's that working out as a couple? So maybe we can ask for EcoRight, how's that working?
Yeah. So even though I started the business, the vision has now shifted here. So when she says we have to scale, I'm like, cool, let's do it. You tell me how much, what I need to do, and then we can kind of figure out the plan. But so there is a...
So obviously, when we had started the business and it was running like a startup when I joined, obviously, there was proof of concept. Udit thankfully had spread the wings. I'd say, we've been able to scale because he had already done the launches, created the presence in the right places. But the first thing that, obviously you've already known about my risk appetite was the business needs to be sustainable itself. I cannot not do without a salary, because 1 year after joining was exactly 1 year is when I did not draw a salary from business, and it freaked me out. It was difficult to sleep. And we decided that the business has to be sustainable in itself first. So now, and since then, so now it's been 2 years of 1.5 years of profitability. We are self-sustaining in all sense now. So, but yeah, we do realize that, and we've been scaling, we've been growing on our own, we've been doing a decent growth, but obviously the growth is not a 5x, 10x or a 100x that people do. Which we've been okay with, but going forward now we've decided that we look at scaling faster. Now that we've built a brand identity. We obviously went through this phase of building a brand identity again because the world had evolved as much.
But you agree on what that scale should be?
Yeah,
I agree on what scale she said it should be.
Oh, nice answer.
No, because what we've realized is that there are certain things that I'm really good at in the business, and there are certain things that she's good at. She's able to see much further ahead than I am. Right? I am all about kal kaise isko solve kare. What are we doing in the next 3 days to solve this problem? And that's what I kind of take up. It's like solving those issues quickly on the ground. Whereas
she's more long term, I can see, and she's the one that's planning. We are losing you guys. Huh? Am I the only one who's having a patchy connection? Right. So anyway, while they come back, why don't you guys answer this question about scale?
I think the way we built our business is also very organic in the sense that, as you can see, we didn't go like have a business plan and those kind of things to start with, right? So we actually never spoke about where this business will go. We only spoke about the fundamental principles on which the business will be built on, and we said, let this go where it will go. But there were a few things that we were very, very clear on, from day one, which is the need to have our own creative control in the business and the freedom, right? So the question of whether we should take the calls from our classmates or venture capitalists was solved from day one. We never spoke to any VC with any intent. We never spoke about. So the only thing that we did was, of course, raise a little bit of debt in form of bank loan when we needed to scale.
That decision was pushed a lot by me. I think I wanted to have the purest version of Priya that was possible, and the few one or two meetings that we had, I was not happy with the direction in which we were being asked to go with VCs, right? So I would say I've held back the scale of the company slightly because of my insistence on being bootstrapped. Right.
So 10 years down, how do you, it's 10 years, right? Kriya's 10 years old.
No, we were profitable from the first year. That was not.
No, but I'm saying now, how do you feel? Because you need to address.
The interesting thing, her insistence on trying to build the purest version of the company married with my other dream of being around 100 years later. For me, I always want to start a business that will be there 100 years later. But then I realized that the VC route would have shut that down in 10 years because they want an exit. No VC wants to build 100-year. They want what are my exits, right? Do I sell to the next guy? Do I do IPO, etc.? So that would not at all have tried to build it. I'm extremely thrilled with the company that we've built today because those choices we made. So it's an ongoing conversation, right? And that's how it. So we're kind of doing it on our own and going at our own pace. And that's also I think given us a lot of I would say in the last few years, a tremendous amount of bandwidth to develop as individuals as well. And I'm very happy with the version of who we've become as a result of starting this company and being in this partnership together. That has been a huge benefit for me and something I never expected. I just came in for some a little bit of fun and money, I suppose, 10 years ago. But the version of who I am today, and I think I can speak for Preeti as well, is something I never expected and very thrilled with.
And I think the thing for us also, which I wouldn't say has held us back, but which has really, put our sort of learning to the test, is that because we don't have a background in what we're trying to do. Like we did manufacturing, right? 4 years after we started the brand, right? On the first day when we opened our factory, we had zero idea how to run a factory, right? So sometimes I think that when you get money too quickly or when you try to scale up too quickly before learning what you're supposed to do, I think the company's direction also changes, right? So we wait until we mastered something so now we're ready for perhaps a slightly larger factory. Now we're ready for investing a little bit more. And what we went after was just, so if you look at funding, we just went after regular debt, government funding, things like PMEGP loans, stuff which an IIM founder will never go after. Like every time we stand in the line, we'd be like the most overqualified people over there, right? But that's fine. I mean, come on, that's what those things are for, right?
Yeah, but it's less interference and it lets you do what you want.
I mean, so that's a choice.
It's different in the sense that it doesn't come as fast. Maybe, I don't know, since we're not taking this money, I don't know whether that comes fast or not. This can sometimes take 2 years. But it's, I don't know. I mean, I feel, look, we're breathing jobs. Why can't the government support us? Why shouldn't we stand? Right? So when I go and stand there, I have no shame in that. So.
Yeah. So what about you guys? What about funding, and are you looking to, are you approaching investors?
We are same, at the same place as Preeti and Srinivas right now. We are bootstrapped. We've been doing it ourselves, still picking up cartons, filling cartons. I think the last whole week we spent setting up our own warehouse, putting each piece with our own hands. And at that stage where we think, right now, all the learnings and the growth that you get for your business and the creative hand and every aspect, we are also right now not sure of letting go. Because want to build a business that lasts generations and does not have a 10-year life cycle. That said, we've actually been approached by a few companies, not we, there are impact investment funds, there are different kind of funds now that also invest in sustainable businesses.
Right.
So, and we've not, looked at any funding or any of such yet, but we might be open to it in future if somebody is, but the idea is that they should be able to invest and, look at it for long term, not a 2-year exit, and not a 5-year exit.
Also align with our vision. What we also feel is that if whoever the partner might be, right, could be a co-founder, could be a VC,
right,
could be a vendor, they all need to align with what we are trying to do, right? And then it makes sense. So we've been lucky to have that alignment with whoever we are working with right now, even with our employees. And that's the same kind of alignment we look for in a VC. So when we do
whatever kind of investor,
right? And so that's why, and because we've been so focused on getting the fundamentals right, doing the business on the whole right now, we've not really looked at that. We've had people approach, but it's never been we've never been able to sit down and have a serious discussion with anyone because we're too busy trying to, like, do it ourselves right now.
Neither we don't even have an overdraft line of credit. So
No, so this entry of the baby, this dramatic entry brings me to the next. Actually, I wanted to ask that question that with a child in the equation and you have a really young child, what has changed inside your head for both of you? Has anything changed in your approach to the business?
Well, I think for one, it completely reinforces what we've been trying to do. When you see the next generation, why we're trying to do what we're trying to do, and it makes it so much more meaningful. So that you're chasing so much more than building a business for yourself and for your employees and trying to do good products. So I would say, I mean, that really has happened. Unexpected sort of benefit, and it's I think the whole thing is on good days, and I'm having good days. I think entrepreneurship is merely about solving a series of problems to get to your goal. Right? See, if you break it down into solving a series of small problems, you break into the smallest unit and keep solving them until you reach your goal, right? So it's just a question of reallocating our time, our resources, the way we work. And honestly, it's also come at this time, and everybody's in the last phase anyway been working from home, working remotely, and all of that. So that template of remote working has already been set, right? And in all our teams, anyway, I can see the kids running in the background and all of that. That's now become a way of life. So I'd say that it's also come at a time when such a hybrid model of working has so much of acceptance now. So it's just that we have to adapt to it a little bit, and
honestly, it's put like a severe pressure on time.
Yes.
I mean, it's really forced us to be more creative with our time. And often I look back and I say, what the hell were we doing 2 years ago? Like, we just had time, so much of time. Why didn't we do any of this?
Yeah.
It feels like
no, children transform the time available phenomenally. And
much more focused now, I would say. Yeah.
You guys, Nikita and Udit, what is your plan in this direction? Do you have a plan? And how are you planning?
A question that would come up in front of an audience.
No. I actually want to just get a sense of, whether you have even given thought to, the future, with a family, because at your age, I wasn't giving it any thought at all. So that's why.
I'm glad you think we're really young because the society around now, doesn't look at it. But no, we've already thought about it. Our idea was always to first, we call EcoRite as our baby. So it's something we're nurturing together, growing in every aspect like you would treat a baby. So right now, EcoRite is our baby.
Right. Good answer. But what does your family think of this whole shenanigan? This question is really for just two women. You come from different communities with different backgrounds. So I thought I'd just ask you that what is the community reaction, family reaction to this whole thing of being in business?
Community, honestly, I do not know as much. I don't think there is as much reaction. But yeah, my parents, obviously my risk appetite is lower because I come, my parents also. So I was in a very good job. So I always wanted to leave my professional career at a high, and I did. So when you leave at a high, there are, you also question yourself if you're doing the right thing. So which is what came from my parents a lot because, one's already the business and there's a regular flow of good income which was working well for us. So there was this question of leaving a successful corporate career and getting into business, but it was never about us working together. It would have been the same question if I was joining any other business or doing any business on my own. It was nothing related to us as couples working together.
No, but it's just we keep hearing that for women entrepreneurs the entry is frowned upon by people around you in general.
Yeah, so I was questioned on my intention because I was moving cities, right? I used to live in Delhi, so we were in a long distance marriage of 2.5 years before I joined the business because he started the business in Ahmedabad and I was in my job in Gurgaon. So obviously, the intentions behind joining the business honestly were questioned a lot. Even in my office space as well as personal space. But after studying it, an institution where it's 95% men, then being in a career, I was in finance where it was 95% men. We've already defeated many stereotypes and gone through a lot of this before, so it does not really bother. I mean, I just take it in my stride. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I answer if it requires an answer, but it did not really fail. I don't think, and I don't think honestly there was as much of it. But people did ask once, and I'd be like, obviously, because I want to do business. I mean, I would answer it very casually as if it wasn't a question. I would try to read into between.
But people kind of assume that you are actually just moving to be with the guy, and you're not serious about your career. You're not serious about the business. That's the kind of tag which gets stuck to you.
For a little bit.
They make their own assumptions in their own heads.
But for a little bit, those are like, initial stages, maybe those small hiccups in the beginning. I mean, it's only for a very insignificant period of time.
No, once they see you talking about this business, they won't ask that anymore.
But yes, to answer your question, yes, that does happen. I mean, I was asked that question by, even at work when I put down my papers, whether the reason to join business was because I wanted to move to Gujarat or, be with my husband, or if I actually wanted to do the business. And that was by people who knew me professionally well enough that I was enough ambitious and everything. So that question does come. It's a very stereotyped question.
What about you, Preeti? So this going into business is not done in the community where I come from.
No, not at all. Not at all. We do have, I think some daring older people who are now consultants. So that's the limit to which, okay, so you work for 30 years as a VP, so now you can be like an independent consultant. And even that is like, okay, she's an independent consultant or something. So, being an entrepreneur, I mean, forget about it, right? It's not just for me, it's for both of us.
No, but it's easier, when for women, if you are doing it with your husband, and people kind of, if you had been doing this solo, it would have been even more like, what the hell is she doing?
No, actually, I don't know if it was by design. I've seemed to have become the face of the business, right? Everywhere, reluctantly I push forward, right? So whether it's in the Khadi department or whether it is this, so everybody assumes that, I started it and, Srini joined me. And like, I wish she was working. So, to answer, no, actually, I never had a problem getting taken seriously, by the family. I mean, family, it's not because I was a woman, how can I be, actually the family was very, very equal, in I think the criticism of both of us become. So there was discrimination.
What about your side? Your family supported this move or not?
My family? Yeah, everybody is an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
It was like a done.
So they took you so long, right?
I wanted to ask the audience if they have any questions, so we can take those questions. Otherwise, I want to ask both of you that, both couples, that from your experiences so far, what is your advice to other couples who are starting out? So Preeti and Srinivas, of course, told us, don't do what we did, like, get a bank balance. Do not go on a Europe holiday and blow whatever it is that you already have.
Do not go Indian rupees on Euro holiday. Do not.
Yeah, but other than that, whether you guys have advice for, there are lots of couples who go into business.
Right.
And my husband and I have considered it 5 years ago, and we gave up the idea. The reason we gave up the idea was because we did not have the same passion for the same product or industry, and it just didn't make sense to work on something. So now we help each other informally in each other's business, but we don't work together.
Actually, I can appreciate what you said, because it's not the first business that we started. When I quit, while I said I didn't have a concrete idea, I knew I wanted to be at that point in time in films. So the first business that we built, and that defunct company is still there, in the sense it was a film appreciation product, which I dragged Preeti. She really helped me build the product. I had the product name, but she was helping me build it. But it was going nowhere because scaling it was very hard. There was no internet as we know it today in 2010. The product was good, and the guys who were helping me with the IT part of the product really sucked at the time in terms of what they were doing, and for a year, and it also needed far more money than I had estimated, right?
No, so what you're saying is that as a couple, if you're starting, you should have a common vision.
Yes, it is good. You
Otherwise, you don't.
cannot be so disproportionate. One person is insane about the concept, the other person is chalo.
It's just tagging along. Let's tag along.
There has to be.
What
so
about you guys? Sorry, go on.
So in what he said was that the way this business, Kriya, has come about is that she was always wanting to be sustainable, and I wouldn't know sustainability if you hit me on the head with it. But here's the thing: if you showed me something sustainable, I can appreciate. If it was shown to me, right, I can see that she's being sustainable. I was like, okay, this makes sense to me. It didn't occur to me naturally.
So your advice to couples is to go with the same.
There can't be a huge difference. There will be some amount of on the
yeah, there will be some difference. What about you guys? Do you have advice for the couples?
Yeah, I think very similar in the sense that we had that relationship was built on like we're completely opposite as individuals, but our relationship was built on a shared set of values. And one of them, like when I thought about sustainability, it resonated with her as well. It's just that we took some time for me to just flesh out the idea before Nikita came in. But the reason we're doing it together is because we do believe in the same things. One, it is very important to have a shared vision, even though and that vision can evolve over time. But the basic principles need to be the same.
What have you done that you would tell someone don't do this? Do you have anything like that, the two of you?
I'm saying before,
no, I was asking them, but they are frozen, so you can. Sorry. Yeah, but go ahead.
No.
Yeah, go on. Whoever wants to take this. We have only.
Another question.
So I think you guys answer it, and then we'll realize what the question is.
No, the question for you guys was for Nikita and Udit was anything you have done that you would tell other couples don't do this, or other entrepreneurs don't do it.
I think it's very important to have a little bit of distinction in what you do in the business, because if you end up doing the same thing, then you end up disagreeing a lot more. And I think that's what happened, right? Because I had kind of built the business myself over the first 2 years. So when Nikita came in, there were times where, we would end up stepping on each other's toes. But the good thing is, because we are married, because we have a relationship that's a much stronger relationship at the background, we were able to figure it out and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do. And we still act as advisors to each other, saying, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? But like, it's better if you can have that clarity as soon as possible.
So what you're saying is that have division of work and operational areas is critical. There's one question that someone has asked. Alka Agarwal is asking, what is the scene of funding for social entrepreneurship? And I believe, Nikita, you talked about it a little, that there is impact lending, which is happening now for this kind of business. So Alka, if you have more questions, send in the questions by mail to Professor Gunjan Tomar at IIM Nagpur, and she will forward it to us for more detailed answers, because we have now reaching the end of the session. So any last words from both of you on this journey together as a couple? What are your key takeaways from the last so many years of being in business together?
Well, I think to add to one point, the earlier question is if people are, for example, meeting on campus and hatching ideas of, becoming life partners and business partners, my one suggestion would be to give the relationship a lot of time first and then start the business. That's because I think in all the dark and difficult days that we've had, because we were together for many years before the business came along, we could automatically depend on the strength of the relationship, which I think is the only thing that is truly an asset, in this when you're speaking about, this subject, right? So, it wouldn't be a great idea to meet and start a business, because I think that could happen today. People come in with WorkX, to campus, and they meet on campus and all. People, and it's a lot more. The startup system is very, very vibrant today. I mean, in 2001, there's no way we could have done any of this stuff. Actually, we had anyway go to jobs. So that's the first point.
That's very insightful. Very insightful.
Yeah.
Establish the relationship before the business and don't confuse.
And that's looking back. It didn't happen by design, right? It's happened only because we had no money and no way to start back in 2001. It happened by more because of how the environment was. But I can think that that's really is what worked, well for us. That's one thing that I wanted to share.
Thank you. And sorry, you have one more thing. We are at 1 p.m. and I'm conscious that it's lunch hour. But yes, if you have a couple of more things to say, go right ahead.
No, I really also think that how do I put it? Which is it's really helped us evolve as people doing this together, and I think that it's a good thing to do, right? But I would just say like I said, to do and not to do. One thing is to, I said, build a relationship. But second thing is, I think it's okay to have a financial plan first, because I always thought that I don't like I rebel against the idea of having a planned life, right? But I think, to take on the point of Udit and Nikita, it's good to have a financial plan before you jump off the deep end. I think that's something it's good to have.
All right. I'm going to let Udit and Nikita have the last word. What is your takeaways from these last years together? Any advice?
First of all, we clearly, very actually resonate with what Srini said. That it's good to, when couples work together, having a good relation, having a solid relationship is a strong foundation of any business. And for us also, it happened by design that we have been together for 6 years, married for 3 years already when it happened, and didn't realize, but it has helped us. Obviously, and after I joined, it's been COVID, and there have been a lot of ups and downs. But I think that has been the foundation and effectively and with the right set of values. And yes, the other is just, I think it only helps to be together, because I don't know if I had a different co-founder who's not my husband, the way we've been able to help each other grow and the business also grow, have those candid conversations, that are well-rounded for us, in terms of personal growth as well as good for the business. Those are easier because, there is...
So you are in favor of couples as co-founders?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. We have to stop now. Gunjan is already, giving signals.
Oh, I'm not here to remind you that it's time. I'm enjoying it.
No, anyway, we are conscious of time, and I just want to thank the panel a lot. What a fun session. You guys made it so lively and interactive, and really fairly brutally honest also. So thank you very much.
We have a physical, audience in our convention center as well, and one of the participants want to ask a question, so I thought we'll have last question.
Sure.
Yeah, they're good for time.
My name is Sasi. I really enjoyed this panel discussion, very lively, and the kid on the lab added a lot of liveliness to the discussion. So here is my question. As a couple, when it comes to decision making, how do you ensure one proposes, the other accepts, or will there be any conflict in decision making?
So the question is about conflicts in decision making among couples.
When one proposes and
I think I'm only going to speak for Srini and myself. See, the thing is that we both are of a similar age, and we are, we also had similar journeys in our public career. So there's a lot of mutual respect for what each of us brings to the table, right? I think that needs to be there, and it doesn't matter if you're a couple or just co-founders. Even if you're just co-founders, if you don't have that mutual respect, saying that this person is bringing this to the table and their point of view makes sense, you're not going to be able to have a productive discussion with anyone, leave alone your spouse, right? So I think that is key. So I don't think that's very different because we're married to each other. That's just basic co-founder hygiene, I would say.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I think that on the other side, the good part of it is many critical things, on vision and on decision making, it happens in a flash because as a couple, we intuitively know what each other want, which I don't think can ever get with a co-founder. And those have been like life-altering decisions, like whether to go to VC or not. I can just take it over a cup of tea with her. That's all I need. I don't need to have a offsite meeting for 3 days to discuss vision and strategy, right? That happens. So that's a plus side. Decision making can be right, and it can just happen over a cup of tea casually, or when you're driving back to the factory. That's it, done, right? So that's the good part. Yeah, there are obviously difficulties, but I would say is a very, very plus side of being coupled.
I think for us, we'd say, we look at, obviously, like, Srini said, I think, we've, I think, resonated a lot with, what Preeti and Srini have been saying in terms of decision making. Yes, goals are aligned, vision is aligned. So the larger decisions are actually easier. The conflicts happen actually in the small day to day. And since we have clear division, so, we only act as advisors and let the person who's, leading it take the call if there's conflict. So
I think that's something we need to learn.
Yeah, I actually learned very nice things from what Udit and Nikita said.
We learn a lot from what these guys are saying.
Ma'am, I have a question.
One more question is popping up.
Ma'am, good afternoon. I am Ajay Kumar Yadav from Varanasi. Actually, I want to ask that what are the methods to apply to Government of India to increase women's empowerment and also women's entrepreneurship? What are the methods that for a normal person?
The government's doing a lot of stuff already. Okay, it's just that I think a lot of the schemes, I speak as a woman entrepreneur, and a lot of the schemes are very, very difficult to access. And it takes enormous paperwork, enormous bureaucracy, and none of us have the time to really do it. And I think Preeti is the closest to actually trying out some stuff. So Preeti, what's been the experience?
Yeah, it takes time, but there are lots and lots of schemes and different departments are there. You need a little bit of patience, actually a lot of patience. It takes between 1 to 1.5 years sometimes for the money to hit the account.
So the answer, sir, is that the government needs to speed up its act and to make like departments talk to each other. That's the kind of frustration that all entrepreneurs have. You can ask Nikita, for example, what hell she must be going through for exporting. The kind of paperwork that you need is just phenomenal. And our government really needs to understand ease of doing business. It does not understand it right now.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. So shall we wrap up the session? I'll hand over back to the hosts at IIM Nagpur. Ma'am?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you so much, Nikita, Udit, and Preeti, Srinivas. It was such a wonderful session. It was candid. There was lots of moment of truth. And I think everybody here enjoyed the conversation, and it actually got out lots of nuances, in-depth understanding of what are the challenges you are facing, not only as entrepreneur, but people working together. And thank you for arranging, participating, and creating this as such a fun panel. I hope that in future probably we will see you physically at IIM Nagpur, because times is very different this time. So probably we'll get to meet. Preeti, you have a daughter, I think.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. She thank her also from our side. She's been really patient and say hi. I just wanted to say hi to her. So yeah.
Sure.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for having all of us here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks, Nikita. I know this.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.